Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be a review on several new mouse pads from Pulsar. Pulsar is really killing it already in 2023. All three of these mouse pads are great. I have some that I like more than others, but I do want to get into what I like about these pads, what I don't like about these pads. But first and foremost, I do need to show you guys the unboxing experience. The packaging here from a design perspective is so nice. The Bruce Lee edition has this nice portrait of Bruce Lee. The black font and the black portrait against the yellow background is just so nice and matches the theme of Bruce Lee as well as the mouse. And just sharing with you guys how satisfying it is to take this out of the box. It is just a unpeel here at the top. Very satisfying to do. And when you do kind of take it out, you'll be met with how satisfying initially it is to just peel this off that plastic backing. The alpha cell material is extremely grippy on whatever desk you might have. This thing just sticks, and then when you need to kind of move it or remove it, it just peels off like ripping off a Band-Aid off your desk. And getting into the variations of the pads, we have the Bruce Lee ES1, and we have the Bruce Lee ES2. And I did receive the ES2 Friends and Family Edition, which is just ever so slightly a little bit faster than the yellow copy. I'm not going to talk about the Friends and Family Edition because I do believe the yellow one is the only one widely available for sale. And then my favorite of all of the new pads is the new glass pad from Pulsar. This is the Pulsar Superglide. You get a very premium unboxing experience here for this type of a mouse pad. You will be met with just loads of colors when you're taking this thing out of the box. You get your little Pulsar Superglide sticker, and then you are met with the mouse pad itself, which just looks absolutely stunning out of the box. The pad is 490 by 420, and you get this really nice red background mixed with the white font. And when you kind of take a closer look at the pad itself, it does have a appearance of a little bit of granular shine to it, which looks really nice. Again, that white on red looks super nice. And then that backing is just absolutely superb. When you put this on your desk, and I'll show you guys, it is just so nice looking on this white desk that I have. And if you try to pull with that new backing on this mouse pad, you have to literally pull with so much force to even get this thing to budge in any direction. I literally cannot do it. You have to kind of come from the end or edges or bottom of the sides to be able to lift it up, and then you can move it pretty easily. Such a cool backing, and one that is, again, extremely high quality. I think Pulsar is really making a lot of moves to differentiate themselves from other companies, and it's really showing. My ranking of the pads in order from what I like the most to the least, the Pulsar Superglide is definitely my favorite pad out of the bunch, then the ES2, and then the ES1. Gaming performance for me on the Superglide pad is very similar to how I play on the SkyPad 3.0. I play phenomenally on the glass surfaces, and I feel very comfortable, particularly on my new main mouse, the Vaxi XE. The size, the weight, everything performs really well on a glass surface, and I just feel like I am absolutely shredding. Now, compared to a SkyPad, it's very similar. The static friction is low, initial friction is low, so the amount of force required to get the mouse to move initially, and dynamic friction is low as well. I would say the only difference I maybe noticed between the Superglide pad and the SkyPad 3.0 is the glide when I have headphones on or IEMs in and you don't hear that audible noise of you gliding. I would say it feels maybe ever so slightly, just a little bit slightly more buttery of a glide on the Superglide pad. The feeling is ever so slightly just a little bit more chalkier on the SkyPad 3.0. It's not, to me, it's not as buttery as the Pulsar Superglide, but again, it's very close. Of course, again, friction very similar on both of these pads. You guys can see the dimensions are a little bit larger on the Pulsar Superglide pad, and the backing of the Pulsar Superglide pad is far superior than the backing on the SkyPad. Getting to my next favorite pad in the Pulsar lineup, this is the Pulsar ES2, again in the Bruce Lee colorway. I think the aesthetics are absolutely stunning. In terms of the stitching, it's very thin and level to the pad, and the foam density is 3 millimeters thick. But there is, I would say, a ability to dig in that is somewhere in between an Artisan Mid and an Artisan Soft, probably closer to the Artisan Soft. Overall, I think this is a pad a lot of people are going to enjoy, particularly those in the camp of the Lethal Saturn Pro. This is a pad that is faster than the Saturn Pro on dynamic friction or kinetic friction. Whenever your mouse is in movement, this thing just feels extremely fluid and extremely fast, and X and Y is just ever so slightly off in terms of speed. But in static friction, this thing is something that can just stay extremely slow and controlled. The static friction on this, when you are moving very, very, very slowly, is higher than the ES1, but in terms of kinetic friction, it is actually lower than the ES1. So the advertising where they say that this is the slower pad of the two is a little bit confusing if you were to just be looking at the boxes, but if you actually pay attention to the graphs on their website, it is pretty accurate. On kinetic friction, this feels like a very fast pad, but if you ever were to slow down for tack shooters, what a great balanced pad, because you really do get that increased control on static movements. Something that I think is going to be extremely good for your tracking games like any of your Battle Royales, your Apex, and something that's going to be really good for Valorant and CSGO as well, for your controlled movements when you're holding angles and things like that. A beautiful pad, extremely comfortable. Again, just the surface material itself is a little bit more grainy than the Lethal Saturn, which is probably the only thing that I don't like. I wish it was a little bit smoother, maybe a little bit less abrasive on the skin. It's really not a big deal because it's not overly abrasive. Just something that I would point out, you will feel a little bit of that grain as you are moving around the pad. But overall, I would highly recommend this pad. In this size, I believe it is $40. And again, I think at $40, you're getting a really nice package. And up next, that takes me to the Pulsar ES1. Again, a very high quality pad. It's more of your hybrid surface, so the actual surface material is going to be a little bit harder, something along the lines of what you feel on a Lethal Venus or a Artisan Hien. The quality here is the same as the ES2. The stitched edges very level to the pad, look very thin and very clean. You have that alpha cell base that you have to peel off your desk. The pad does not move whatsoever. And again, you do have that 3mm density, which feels great. The same feeling pushing down as the ES2, but maybe a little bit more dense, which is probably just because of the overall surface type on top. In terms of the level of speed here, again, it is slower than the ES2, and I feel it's a lot slower than the ES2 on kinetic friction. Static friction, it's still pretty open and actually pretty nice feeling. So depending on the game you're playing, I could see this being a really good pad for you or something that you might not necessarily like. In terms of a comparison, this is something that is slower than the Venus Pro. So if you're on a Venus Pro and you feel like that is already too slow for you, I probably wouldn't recommend this pad. If you tried the Venus Pro and you wanted something a little bit slower, then I would absolutely recommend the pad. It seems very high quality. It seems like something that a lot of people would like. It's just not really clicking with me right now because I prefer something that is a little bit faster, a little bit more open feeling on kinetic friction, dynamic friction, something like the Pulsar Superglide, the SkyPad 3.0, and even the ES2. So a very high quality pad. Pulsar is bringing the heat. I have two that I really clicked with. This one, not so much. Again, all three of them, though, extremely high quality. It really just depends on your preferences. So guys, that is it for this review. I am absolutely loving the Superglide Glass Pad. I'm going to continue using this, just aesthetically pleasing on my white tabletop, and a really fun experience. If you guys pick up any of the pads in this video, please let me know in the comments below how you're liking them. I hope it helped, guys. If it did, please leave a sub to the channel. I'll see you guys in the next review. Peace.